I pretty much knew nothing about the story going into this one. I just knew it was a sci-fi movie starring Chris Pratt, and those are two things I can get on board with. I also knew it was directed by Chris McKay, who made the Lego Batman movie, which I liked. It also looked like this was an actual original screenplay, not just another adaptation. So all things considered, I was pretty excited going into this. It just looked like a good time. And the basic idea here is that the main character is a family man that leads a pretty average and relatively mundane life. But that soon gets disrupted because there's a war going on in the future, as the title might suggest, and well, there's some time travel stuff going on here. And the general idea being that the future needs help from the past to save humanity. And of course Chris Pratt's character ends up in the middle of it because otherwise the story would follow someone else, right? Now, is the movie any good, and what did I think of it? Well, I have some mixed feelings. Because there are some issues for sure. This is far from a flawless movie. But by and large, I was actually entertained for the most part. I can't really complain about that aspect. It's just a relatively fun and entertaining spectacle of a movie, so it definitely did its job in that regard. Now, when it comes to the actual quality of the writing, it ranged from, I would say, decent to questionable. Because in broad strokes, I think the story worked well enough. It too had some issues, but it worked. But when it comes to the dialogue, for instance, it was just very heavy on the exposition. It liked to just explain everything very clearly and leaving no room for guesswork. And I didn't think the attempts at humor were all that great either, to be honest. However, it was often mildly amusing, but I don't think I genuinely laughed even once. Oh yeah, except at something utterly ridiculous toward the end, that I'm not sure was supposed to be funny. And when it comes to the logic of the movie, it wasn't great, but I think it was fine for the most part. Although they did essentially just give up with that last big action sequence. It doesn't make any sense anymore, and it felt like the tone really switched to being more comedic at that point too. Like they were just having fun and doing whatever they wanted instead of even attempting to make sense. Which did admittedly have me enjoying the absurdity and ridiculousness of it. Now, when it comes to the overall technical execution of the movie, I thought it was just fine. Like, it really did nothing to stand out in a good way or a bad way either. The effects were okay, acceptable, but I've seen much better too. The direction was fine and the editing and pacing were pretty okay as well. But I do have to say that I thought the sound mix felt a little bit weird to me. And I don't know if that was just a compression of the stream or what. But the dialogue felt extremely low compared to everything else, especially the action. And well, so far I've focused mostly on the negatives, but as I said, there were some positives as well, beyond just the pure entertainment value. The first thing being the monster design. I mean, the reveal of the close-up of one of those things, when you get a good look at it for the first time, was just a pure brilliance. And the design, especially of the face of that thing, was excellent, because they look really creepy. I mean, that's nightmare fuel right there. That's exactly what a movie monster needs to look like. Another positive was, well, it was just a brief shot, but it was also brilliant, and I think the word epic describes it very well. I think you'll know it when you see it, because as ridiculous as it was very unique and kind of felt out of place in the rest of the movie, stylistically. I mean, that shot didn't make any sense, but it was composed like a Renaissance painting and was genuinely some sort of stroke of genius. But honestly, none of those things would have saved this movie if it weren't for one specific thing. All the stuff between the father and the daughter, I liked that very much. And I'm not even sure why it worked, because I don't think it was particularly well written. But it was effectively written, and I think the performances brought enough emotion into it for it to work. So on top of being an entertaining movie, it actually has an emotional core that works as well. And as a result, I ended up enjoying my time watching this, and despite its flaws, I feel like it deserves something like a high 6. Boop. But would I recommend it? Sure, why not? If you're looking for a big flashy action movie, I think you'll enjoy it. But I don't think it's any sort of must-see or future classic, so you can probably also just skip it or do whatever you feel like. After all, I'm not your dad, future or otherwise. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel because that would be fantastic.